Hey guys, this is Sanjeet. I know in our last tutorial we talked about spawning game objects. So in this tutorial we're actually going to focus on coding the AI, but there was actually a little mistake I made in the last tutorial about spawning our game objects. So looks like we can actually see the game object spawn at the positions we want. I just didn't drag and drop something properly in. So I'll just re-show that again. So this is what you just do. Just drag and drop this in. Save and it takes a little time loading. So you can see these guys up there. So you can see how they're spawning between every second. So now we just need to give the AI some of their own scripts. So we just need to be able to make certain spawn at a time, be able to destroy them, have them exit. So we're gonna be learning how to code AI actually into this. I know finally we actually started into AI itself. So you're gonna create a C# script. So we're gonna call this C# script target behavior. Alright, let's just wait for everything to load properly. Okay, so first thing we're gonna do is have two variables. So public int score amount. And that we of course start at 0. Then have public float time amount. And have that as 0.0f. So this is where we're starting. And then we're also going to have explode when hit. So we're just going to write this comment, explode when hit. So what's going to explode when it's hit? Simple, the AI. So we're going to add public game object. And we're going to call this explosion prefab. Okay. And let me think. We're not going to need, I don't think we're going to need void start and void update, so you can just leave them out of this right now. So first thing you're going to do is make a method called void on collision enter. And we're going to pass it a parameter. So we're going to pass a collision variable. And I'm going to call this new collision because each collision, it's going to keep, each object's going to keep colliding with something else. So new collision. Okay, now we're going to add another conditional statement, and we're going to call this same thing, if game manager dot gm, and then add another if statement inside another if statement. So if game manager dot gm, so of course that's true, we're going to check that, and then if game manager dot gm dot game is over, then of course same as like last time, it's going to return something from the game manager script itself. So now what we want to do is we want to be able to check explosion. So only do stuff. So basically, let's actually go about the collision. So about this part. So this game manager conditional statement is going to check off everything from our previous script, and these two are incrementing our time and score. These two variables are going to add on to the game manager itself by itself. So basically, the game manager is kind of taking care of most of the heavy lifting. We just need to let every other script know when it needs to do something and what it has to do and when it has to do it at what time. So now we want to also be able to check for explosion. So only do stuff if hit by projectile. So if explosion prefab, now we just want to be able to instantiate it. So instantiate just checking something. All right, so instantiate. So one, we want to be able to instantiate our explosion prefab. So transform dot position, and then transform dot rotation. So now one more thing we want to be able to do is, so if game, so now basically this is what our game manager is going to take care of for us through this script. If game manager dot gm game manager.gm game manager.gm, so we wanted to be able to check this. So game manager.gm dot target hit. So target hits basically that was one of the variables we had in our game manager script we set up. So we just basically want to tell it when it hits a target, increment the score, and if we want, increment the time. This is the part where actually we're going to be getting more creative. So now we also want to be able to destroy the projectile. So we're just going to call a variable called destroy new collision dot game object. So basically new collision dot game object is it's going to destroy whatever our projectile collides with. So the new collision would be the robot, our projectile would destroy the robot, and projectile would destroy itself. Because actually in a game, if you play games like Call of Duty and all that, you probably are like in a game when you shoot a gun in a video game and a gun has a certain amount of ammo. Actually in a video game, you may, like, let's say in Call of Duty, if you're shooting with a machine gun and a gun has 500 bullets in it. Actually, the gun does not have 500 bullets. It only has one bullet put in, but the reason it looks like it has 500 bullets inside the gun is because that's the way it was coded. One bullet was inserted inside the gun, but then we programmed it inside the game to make it 500. So basically what happens in the real world, in any game, what happens is actually if you shoot a bullet at someone inside the game and the player gets killed and the enemy gets killed, the bullet actually just disappears and goes back inside the gun. Basically, this is what we're trying to do. What I'm trying to say is when the projectile hits the enemy it destroys the enemy and destroys the bullet. Because when a bullet hits something, it should look like it's going in, it should look like it hit something. So we want to be able to destroy the enemy and destroy self. Self is the bullet. So the bullet, what happens to the bullet when it kills someone? The bullet also goes away. The bullet should go away somewhere. So destroy game object and let's just add our last final bracket. I just want to check, save, compile. Okay, so that's good. So actually, we're not done yet. We still have more scripts to add because right now we just told what happens when the bullet hits the enemy AI. But the enemy AI needs to know when to destroy itself. It knows if the bullet hits it, then it gets destroyed, but how does it know what a bullet is? That's what we're trying to teach it. So let's first make sure when we're doing that. Let's just make sure. Sorry, sometimes it takes the Unity game engine to update itself. It's actually supposed to update our script right now. Okay, so that's good. Alright, that's good. So we could just drag and drop it. So let me actually get my script. Target behavior, okay. So right now, we don't have to worry about the explosion prefab. We still have a little bit more to code. So I'm probably going to show you in the next one how it's going to know if a bullet's going to hit it. So right now, what I'm more concerned about is making also like the exiting, making our AI spawn and exit at an accurate time. So what I'm going to do is create another C# script. And we're going to call this target exit. Target exit. Alright, so I'm going to add a public float variable. So public float exit after seconds. So 10.0 f. Okay, so now I'm going to have another public float variable. And we're going to call this exit animation seconds. And this is going to equal 1.0 f. And then we're also going to add a private variable called private bool and start destroy. And that's right now false because nothing that's destroy is off right now because nothing in destroy is set to trigger on. So we want to make sure it's set to false. So private float target time, and yep. Alright, so now the next thing we should be able to do is go to void start. And this is when we play the game, this is how the enemy AI is going to start. So target time equals time dot time plus exit after seconds. Okay, and now we want to be able to update our AI every framework per second. Sorry, not every frame per second. So if time dot time is greater than or equal to target time and if this, so this dot get component, so this for mainly for AI, this component, the animator is equal to null. Null means it's empty, doesn't have anything. Then we want to be able to destroy game object else if it's not start destroy. So start destroy is not. Just make it easier spelling. Then start destroy is equal to true. So basically, right now start destroy is false. Nothing is destroyed, but every frame per second, as time is greater than the target time, and do the animation. So right now, when between every second when the animation exits, then of course it's gonna disappear. Our AI is gonna disappear and spawn at a different area. So basically what we're trying to do is we're trying to animate it in a way that every second more AIs enter and exit at the same time. It'll make more sense what I'm trying to say when we actually play the game. So now I also want to say this dot component this dot get component and call it animator dot set trigger, and we want to make it exit. And now we also want to be able to invoke so we're just going to pass kill target exit animation seconds. So now we just want to be able to close these brackets and now just call this guy. So void kill target. and make sure it's spelled right. We want it to be able to, we just want to add it, tell it to destroy game object. Okay, and now you're just going to save, run, and there are no errors, so you're good. So let's just make sure this updates. Okay, so now I'm just gonna go to the prefabs, and we're just gonna drag and drop target exit, or we can actually just write it. So now what I'm gonna do is just save. So now we got 2 scripts. So in the next one, we're actually gonna add one more script to the enemy AI, and then just play around with these variables, score amount, time amount, just change the initialization a little bit. And then from there, we should actually have a working AI with our game. So thank you for watching. Please subscribe. Please leave a comment. Thank you.